I don't know about you, but I'm tired of hearing that content is king. We get it. Hey guys, welcome back to this week's video. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're still talking about the Altimeter Group's report, the 2021 State of Digital Content. Now, if you missed last week's video, then I would suggest watching that first because we're going through this report and we're talking about the data points, some of the ones that I found interesting, and then I'm going to provide some context and some best practices on how you might overcome some challenges that the report highlights. So thanks again for tuning in and let's jump into it. Okay, so today we're going to actually talk about goals and metrics based on this report. And let me just read through some of these data points and then we'll break down a few. So the primary goal for content strategy based on the respondents, 7% are to help sales and commerce generate more revenue, 15% to generate leads, so demand gen, 16% are to provide customers with helpful information, 28% is to position the brand as a thought leader or subject matter expert, and then 35% is to generate awareness about a brand. Now, I thought that it would actually be reversed. So I thought that brand awareness and kind of positioning a brand as thought leaders, I think that's almost kind of the same in many cases, depending upon, again, what your program looks like. I would think that generate leads and like sales enablement would be much higher, but only 7% are using a content strategy to help salespeople. And I know a ton of salespeople and they're always struggling. They want content. They want to build their own pipeline through social media. Many have referred to it as social selling. And in order to do that, they need content, right? They need white papers, they need blog posts, they need reports. So 7% is kind of a low number to me, but whatever. 15% to generate leads. Again, I would have thought that this is much higher. Now, again, I think it goes back to who the respondents are. If the respondent was in marketing and direct marketing, then most likely this number would be much higher. If they were in PR or corporate communications, maybe this number is a representative of that, or maybe it's a combination of both. So without really knowing the job titles of those who were surveyed, it's hard to kind of tell why this is so low. 15% again is really low. Now, somebody who works for a PR agency, and managing and overseeing analytics, we do a lot of lead gen, and that is important even to PR teams because PR teams are now being put to the fire from the CMO saying, how can you quantify your investment in either, a retainer with the PR firm or, hiring 15 people? How are you going to quantify an ROI that PR actually works? And so a lot of PR folks are getting very innovative in how they are using data and analytics and, lead gen kind of approaches to prove that ROI. So let me just talk again about, I'm not going to really touch on the customer data. I think that is interesting. Again, I think that is, there's a lot of different ways to kind of peel the onion back there. But I do think that's important, right? So being able to create content to help your current customers solve problems is always a great thing, right? It might decrease the calls to the call center. It might decrease your inbound, requests on a form or your website or chat, whatever you're using to interact with your customers. So that's great that they're trying to be proactive. In fact, Jay Bear wrote a book, a good friend of mine, Jay Bear, wrote Utility many years ago, and it talks about how brands need to provide, from a content standpoint, be a utility to people, right? Help them solve a problem, help them achieve something through content, and that's a way to build, brand affinity and brand awareness. And so let me just hit on kind of the differences between, creating content that positions us or you as a thought leader and subject matter experts, and also just overall brand awareness. Now, the goals are kind of the same, one being a benefit to the brand in itself, and the other being a benefit to an individual. And so if you think about, employee advocacy or executive thought leadership, that's really where the thought leaders and subject matter experts kind of live. That's kind of where this falls into, right? Creating content, being almost a content engine for executives. Right, we do this for a lot of clients, and it's important because if you can use data to inform an executive, what the conversation is right now about a topic, or if you can use data to identify an influencer and then give that information or create content on behalf of an executive to then engage and facilitate that engagement. Some people call it manipulating an engagement, but facilitating an engagement so that you are helping an executive be as relevant to the conversation as possible. So that, I think, again, that kind of falls within this range of thought leadership and subject matter expertise. Brand awareness, that is the PR work, that is the larger brand campaigns, the out of home advertising. I really don't want to discount the fact that the primary goal for many of these executives is brand awareness, because it is important. Lead gen is also important. All these other things are very important, and they're all equally as important. Just depends upon who you ask. I would say that you kind of need to do everything, right? You need to surround sound an audience with content, with repetitive and consistent storytelling. And you do that through ads and advertising. You do that through, earned media. And then you also kind of move them through the funnel with content. And then eventually they fill out a form, download a white paper. And then when they buy, then you can support them along the way through, content that gives them helpful information. So, while these primary goals may, my priority might be different. Again, it's just my perspective, but they're all equally as important for you and also for the brand that you work for. And that, my friends, concludes our time together. Thank you again for tuning in. Thank you for your feedback and conversation as it relates to this report and content in general. Stay tuned for next week. We're going to continue this dialogue around the Altimeter Group and their report they released on the state of digital content for 2021. So until I see you next time, hope you have a great day and a great rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon.